Are we live yet? We're streaming right now? Oh, well, hey, what's going on? Welcome to it from around the world and around the web. Whatever it is, wherever you are, let's go beyond the block on a live stream Sunday. Live stream Sunday. Matty Sats on the Bird app. You know me, Matt Case. And thank you for joining us here on the Bitcoin Live Production Network. 3D Changes Perspective, another great show. And can't forget our friends Gingerly. Sundays, they're 6 p.m. They lead things off. Purple Suede 22 in the Style Pigeon. And also a big shout out to our friend, the lovely and talented crypto curator, Paul McNeil. Bitcoin is Freedom and Bitcoin is Politics. The bi-weekly shows here, again, part of the Bitcoin Live network of shows. Did I say shows? We do a lot of shows. There's a lot of programming and content. Today on the big show, we will be joined by my colleague and good friend, Gerald Votta from Quantum Economics, the crypto oracle. This guy makes a lot of calls, and he's pretty right about a lot of them as well. Very smart. He beta tests a lot of hardware wallets, and his gig is to go in and try and break things. He's very, very smart when it comes to analytics as well. Does a great podcast, and we will get some insight from the crypto oracle from Quantum Economics, Gerald Votta. But first... Let's rewind the headlines from the week that was. One of the biggest stories this past week was Silvergate and them shutting down and winding down operations, and there's a lot to unpack with that. It wasn't like Silvergate was holding vast amounts of crypto and Bitcoin in reserve. They weren't. They were actually holding zero, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, they were actually just holding dollars and bonds, really. It appears these long-term bonds are susceptible and volatile to the interest rates, obviously, right? Apparently that volatility leading Silvergate to sell a lot of stuff in Q4. And as the crypto curator Paul McNeil discussed earlier this week on Bitcoin and Politics, the senators on Capitol Hill having a field day with this, especially Pocahontas Liz. The senators seriously fudding Silvergate and the entire crypto space in general, but that's about par for the course for Pocahontas Liz. I warned of Silvergate's risky, if not illegal, activity and identified severe due diligence failures. What do we call that?
That is some serious fucking FUD.
Pretty much. Liz got a lot of big money from the lobbyists in the traditional financial institutions and banking industry to kind of support her. So, yeah, she's going to come down on Silvergate, who actually was playing by all the rules. If you follow the history of Silvergate, right? They were a regulated financial organization based in the United States, right? They weren't like FTX. And again, based on their public disclosure, they held zero, nada, no Bitcoin. What's the problem with Silvergate then? And Friday it was announced that Silicon Valley Bank, they're shutting down as well. They are an FDIC insured bank. And this is like the first FDIC insured bank to shut down here in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to forecast doom and gloom, but is what we see now similar or indicative of the savings and loan scandals back in the 80s? I don't know enough to comment on it deeply. I'll do some more research, but I think we could see some similarities. Maybe. I don't know. Reports are surfacing that Meta is working on a text-based decentralized social network, codenamed, what is it? P92? Sounds like a weight loss program. P92X. And I think everybody needs to follow Congressman Tom Emmer on the Bird app. This dude is awesome. Pour one out for him. Give him a high five. Congressman Emmer making the anti-central bank digital currency comments to an audience last week, saying that CBDCs could be, quote, easily weaponized to spy on U.S. citizens. Well, duh. Those of us in the space have known that for a long time. Welcome to the party, Congressman. But yeah, glad you're out there ringing the alarm bell. And that's why it's always best to be smart, be safe, stack sats, hodl, self-custody, man. A time traveler has issued a dire warning for the end of the world. The TikTok time traveler says the first war with aliens will be towards the end of 2024. Final battle will happen in 2038. Ooh, I think someone was watching a little too much of the Sci-Fi Channel, if you know what I'm saying. Folks in Texas want to leave the United States again. They're talking about secession. A Texas state lawmaker wants voters to decide if the Lone Star State should consider leaving the United States. Republican Representative Brian Slayton. He's the big pro-Texit. Texit. Like Brexit, but Texit. Texit. I think I got that right. Everybody in Texas will let you know that they are a republic. We are a republic. We are not part of the United States. We are our own Texas. Texas crazy. I love Texas. Y'all a bunch of crazy motherfuckers out there. A Utah woman started an apartment fire after she was trying to cleanse her unit from negative energy. Crystal Moss was arrested after telling police it was her fault. Yep. Apparently, Crystal's been plagued by a lot of sadness, depression, negative energy, and she feels like she's being haunted. And in an effort to burn away the sadness and pain in her life, she accidentally torched the entire apartment complex. So now we know how to pray for her. And UFO experts warn that an alien mothership could be in our solar system sending out probes. A new report from the director of the Pentagon's UFO unit and the former chair of Harvard's astronomy department. I mean, Harvard, for crying out loud. This is not some made up stuff from some crackpot tinfoil hat wearing dude in his mom's basement. The report says that the mothership could have the ability to launch smaller probes to visit planets like Earth, and current space telescopes like the James Webb one wouldn't be able to detect them, according to the report, because the ships are too small. And if you've learned anything from movies, you realize that ships that are too small actually have a really great chance of succeeding. Look at Luke Skywalker in the X-Wing, for crying out loud.
A small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense. Well, the Empire doesn't consider a small one-man fighter to be any threat.
Does anybody remember the Death Star? Hello. A man got abs tattooed on his stomach so he can be summer ready. A UK man went to Color Realism Tattoos and had an artist named Gunther tattoo realistic abs onto his stomach. Process took 2 days. Gunther documented it with a video right there on his Instagram. Something tells me that is not going to age well. 28 girls were hospitalized after they were messing around with a Ouija board in school. What kind of school allows kids to mess around with a Ouija board anyways? 28 schoolgirls have been hospitalized with anxiety attacks after allegedly playing with Ouija boards at their school in Colombia, South America. Well, there you go, Colombia. I mean, they're crazy. They're probably hopped up on the booger sugar. I don't know. I mean, do kids do cocaine in Colombia? I think they do. Like at 12, no? I don't know. I've never been to Colombia. I don't know what they were thinking, but scientists have revived a zombie virus that has spent the past 48,000 years frozen in permafrost. Scientists at the University School of Medicine in Marseille, France, tested earth samples taken from Siberian permafrost. And lo and behold, there was this old virus frozen intact in time. This is like something out of a horror movie. Why would you? Haven't we learned messing with viruses in a lab is not a good thing? And finally, forget it raining cats and dogs. No. In China, it was actually raining worms. Yeah, worms. As news and photos spread across the globe with no official word from Chinese authorities, residents in Beijing this past week were warned to use umbrellas outside. Not kidding. Once again, China. All right, coming up, we go one-on-one with quantum economics Gerald Votta, the crypto oracle. We'll get him to peer into his crypto crystal ball and see what 2023 has.
They keep trying to hurt up the markets. If you didn't hear the news, New York Attorney General just filed a suit against KuCoin, saying that they're saying Ethereum is a security, and thank the Lord that the CFTC did come out today and reiterate that Ethereum is commodity. Obviously, I always tell people it's not as decentralized as Bitcoin, but it is still a way more decentralized product than many things out there.
If memory serves correct, didn't CFTC rule ETH a commodity like before 2020 even?
Yeah, like it was years back. Yeah, we've discussed this many times.
Right. So like, why is it even being brought?
Again, this is their tactics. Like you can just see it from every angle. They only have fear tactics to control these markets as their only move. And they're, subsequently, whether it's directly or indirectly, getting these institutional investors to dump based on these muddy waters that they put out there. There's no clarity, right? Is it there? Is it? Isn't it? It's not. It is. It is. And Bitcoin's not a security. Bitcoin's money. It's not money. It is money. Again, I said this in my podcast last night. If I can go buy stuff with Bitcoin on layer 1 or layer 2 in like 100+ countries and pay taxes in multiple jurisdictions, it's effing money. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't care. You make some stupid bill, get everyone to waste millions of taxpayer dollars on it.
But what I think was so great about Bitcoin, though, is yes, it was designed to be a peer-to-peer currency, as we know from the white paper, but it does have the qualities of a commodity. As we see also the store of value narrative a little bit, but still it does kind of act a little bit like a commodity, doesn't it?
I mean, it does, but again, I just saw your article on Twitter, and I did discuss it. Look at what's happening with the Perth Mint and
yes,
in China, right? So I mean,
okay, wait. For folks who don't know, unpack that story. What happened?
Okay, so the Perth Mint is selling phony gold,
and the Perth Mint is out of Australia, right?
Yeah, this is like their official mint of the country of Australia. And it's called loading, right? Where they will, and they're doing it with silver, which isn't that shitty. If you think about it, at least it's a precious effing metal.
Right.
There's people that do this with lead, right? They cut out a section of the bar and they fill it with lead or another heavy base metal that's cheap, tin, whatever they can get their hands on, and will fool people, and then they fill the top in with gold. But getting back to that point, let's talk about gold. Like, money's been debased since before Roman times, but gold, there's 10K gold, there's 14 karat gold, there's 18 karat gold, 22, 24. So gold's has its own different purity levels, and technically 24 karat is pure gold. Right. Bitcoin, there's no dilution there, right? There's no way you can get 18 karat Bitcoin, right? Let's be very clear. You get Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin. That's why it's superior to gold. First.
Good point, man. You know what? That is this is why he's the Oracle, everybody, and why you need to follow my man G Money. That's a really great point, dude.
You can't dilute it. I mean, people realize you can't print more of it, but it cannot be diluted either. And we're at the times where the gamblers are back to the casino because Bitcoin had its little pump. And now, when you have the longs and the shorts out there, it's like a seesaw, and it goes back and forth. And right now, I heard that, the Mt. Gox coins are supposedly being released in the last 24 hours. You have all of these fear tactics trying to push, and institutional investors, if you look at all the articles and all the metrics, have been dumping for the last 4 weeks. We're approaching a new bottom, like a serious double bottom.
And this was something that you alluded to on the Bird app not that long ago. And what was the bottom number that you were kind of saying that folks we see bouncing off of right now?
Yeah, like 21 looked like it was possible. I did say in my podcast, it's Bitcoin, so don't be surprised it goes to 18 or 19K, because it's a true free market. There's nobody really that can step in like the Fed and do what they do when things not going the way in Wall Street. They can push
nobody to backstop it.
Yes, exactly. We are the backstop, the hodlers of last resort. And people have to realize that I've been saying, if you look, and by the way, Glassnode, hi, can you hook me up with this subscription? I talk about that all the time. You're in my one article I wrote for
Glassnode, we love you.
Yes. But if you look at an actual hodl chart, and basically what a hodl chart is, it's like this, like a heat map of the hodlers, right? Over time, the shorter waves are red and orange, and the more you get to the longer the hodl, like 5+ years, you get closer to the blue shift of the spectrum.
That's me. I'm a blue hodler, baby.
You're in the purple waves, correct, dude.
Yeah.
And I said in that article, if you go read my article on Medium about this, why we hodl, I predicted that these purple hodl waves are just going to get bigger and bigger, and they are, even with these institutional investors dumping. And at the same time, we have seen over the last 6 months that I've stated time and time again, as the dollar is going to pump, we're going to see emerging market currencies dump, And then those emerging market currencies are going to severely be interested in Bitcoin. And we can see this time and time again in Africa, right? We can see it in Nigeria right now. We can see it in Senegal. We can see it in South Africa, right? Pick and Pay, the largest grocer in the country, now takes Bitcoin, right? These are big things. El Salvador just paid back its almost its $1 billion loan to the
To
World
IMF,
Bank.
yeah.
Yeah, to the IMF. Like,
IMF, they're like, oh,
whoa, yeah, Bitcoin doesn't suck. Yeah, no shit, dummies.
and you know what I think they're pissed off about? Probably all those interest payments that they would have gotten from El Salvador. Now they're like, oh, wait, now we can't count on that money coming in.
Well, again, it all goes back to them fudding, right? El Salvador doing this. This is where all of this, I mean, it even goes before that, because we know during the 2017 there was an actual Operation Choke Point back then, trying to subvert Bitcoiners and the markets. And of course, they have to protect their assets. Let's be very clear. The Federal Reserve has a huge balance sheet. So at the same time, they're protecting their assets. I get what they're doing, but I don't like the way they're doing it. And they're not protecting Gary's not protecting investors. He's hurting investors. He's hurt investors time and time and time again. Again, we're heading into good territory, because I think that I think the next thing we're going to see is one of these Bitcoin leveraged casinos. Like, I'm just throwing names out there, but Deribit, Bybit, BitMEX, one of them's going out of business, right? Let's be very clear. You had huge firms go out. I'm not going to be surprised if one of these, like I said, Bitcoin casinos goes belly up. And that to me would be the signs of a true double bottom at that point. That's just my take on it. And I hope to see that, just because the less of those that are out there, the better Bitcoin does, right? People don't realize the more people that hodl Bitcoin, the safer Bitcoin is, whether it's layer 1 or layer 2, it's being utilized. And the more it's being utilized, the safer Bitcoin and the stronger Bitcoin becomes.
Let me get your thoughts on the FOMC, the Fed, Jerome Powell, thoughts on the Fed, interest rates, and where we're going for the remainder of 2023.
Well, again, the Fed's going to do what the Fed's going to do. Like I said, they're going to protect their assets. And I think there's still room for them to tweak. They want to probably go a little bit higher. I mean, just from what Jay Powell's been hinting at. But it all comes down to how the markets react, right? Like if the markets react poorly in the next quarter, they have to respond accordingly. And if you saw his notes, like, we really don't know what's going to happen. I was like, oh, wow, that's the most honest shit you've ever said, Jay Powell.
Right.
So, I mean, like,
it is.
Let's be clear. That's at least truth. At least he's being honest.
Yeah.
And you can't just keep doing what they're doing. And they know that. That's why they keep increasing the rates, and it does make the bond market look attractive, and that does protect the dollar. Like I said, it protects the petrodollar.
But isn't that just a short-term fix, though? Isn't that really a Band-Aid on a systemic issue that goes deeper?
Yeah. I mean, again, I want to talk to my governor about Bitcoin mining. News comes out that now Biden's talking about taxing Bitcoin mining. It's like, dude, you don't get this crap. First off, taxes were embedded by rich people, right? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, when they couldn't afford to pay the troops anymore to invade new countries. They're like, hey, what are we going to do? Oh, we'll invent this shit called taxes. Oh, wow. So again, this is an elitist thing for almost 1,000+ years. That's totally baloney. And then they took the money that was actually real money, based on a precious metal like gold or silver, then debased it to the point now we have Federal Reserve shit tokens, as I like to call them. People, like to talk smack on shit coins, but I can do a lot more with Litecoin and Dash than I can do with my my change jar, right? Let's be very clear.
Exactly.
Most of them have no real metals in them anymore, right? So they're not coins. Some people call them coins. They're not even fucking coins. Tokens, right? They're literally tokens. They're Federal Reserve shit tokens. And in most cases, you can't use pennies, dimes, or nickels in 98% of the whole damn country. So why do we even make them?
Checkmate.
Yeah. Bitcoin, again, is superior to the the Satoshi is, this is why the Satoshi is superior to the penny, right? Change makes you poor. It fractionalizes your money into shit you can't use, right? Unless you have, one of those coin stars around your corner. Not everyone does. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Go to the hood and there's not a coin star in the 40 shop. All right. Let's be clear.
At the bodega.
Yeah, exactly. So people, and there's some of those bodegas that won't take change. Go to a bodega and throw down like $10 worth of change. They're like, yeah, sweep that shit up, stand still, pull out the Polaroid, take a picture. You're banned from the bodega. Have a great day.
Are you still of the mindset that we could still potentially see a pivot from the Fed, especially in that May-June time period?
Yeah, because I think, the markets are heading for more turmoil. I mean, the crypto markets are an early indicator of that, even though I think the crypto markets are more diverse and more strong because they are such a global product already. I've stated this time and time again, Bitcoin's 14 years old. It's already a major global product, right? I can buy stuff in multiple countries with it. Yeah. No problem. Click a button, click. I'm buying coffee, I'm buying gas, I can pay my rent, right? Australia, you can pay your bills with it, right? This is a big deal. And people don't get that. There's still a lot of
the one question I have though in
Wall Street
regarding
people in the West don't get that concept that emerging markets are really the backbone of Bitcoin. Go ahead, sorry.
What about, I guess, and maybe it's a different situation in these different countries, but for you and I and folks who live in the United States, those are all taxable events. Every time you go and buy something with your Bitcoin. Now, I think that's what's prohibiting the average everyday consumer for the most part from actually spending their Bitcoin. Why we see more hodlers and more of that store of value in those hodl waves, because the laws and regulations aren't really there to make it prohibitive to be a currency and to use as a currency.
So let's break that down just for a second, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you go to Starbucks and you spend $20 and they want to charge you 30% capital gains tax on that, something like that. Starting on $6, you're really gonna freak out over $6? I just say it. Like some people would say yes. There's a lot of Americans that would say yes, but I'm not. Like when I went to go to the movies and I spent my Dogecoin, and people were like, you kind of mentioned that. It says, isn't that a taxable event? I'm like, well, what is it, $3, $4? So, who cares?
Like, and how is that being?
If you're buying a Lambo, I guess be concerned. If you're
going to movies, does the tax come in right when you're making that purchase? I don't think it does. The cap gains tax isn't factored in immediately at the point of sale, is it?
Well, again, let's get back to why they don't want to call any cryptocurrency money, because then it's money and it's not a taxable event.
Right.
You can't tax
you can't tax
money. You can't tax a sales event, right? Like I'm buying something with it. It can't be a capital tax event, and it shouldn't be, right? It's totally ridiculous.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, and for them to even consider it, or the IRS to even, recommend this is pure insanity, right? Like, again, if you're buying a cup of coffee, I wouldn't sweat it. You're buying, Mercedes or Lambo, I probably would, do it with shitty fiat money.
Right. Now, there are some countries, I believe Germany, I think they've now gone where if you hold your crypto for over a year, you don't have to pay cap gains. Was that a rumor I saw on the internet, or what do you know about that?
No, there's multiple countries that have adopted this baseline of regulation. Okay. I know Portugal is there's zero capital gains, and El Salvador is zero capital gains tax for any crypto events as well. And I said this is the future, right? Like, taxes are a scam created by the rich people, like I said, thousands of years ago, to invade new countries so they can rob those people of their money so they can have more money, right? Like Bitcoin fixes this. And Bitcoin fixes taxes, right? Like I tell people, it's not going to take away all taxes, but it is programmable money. And I think eventually in the next 20 years, income tax goes away again, because countries that are smart are going to realize they can do what El Salvador is doing and build an economy with a Bitcoin mining foundation. And that helps your economy, that helps the grid, right? Like now, like I said, Biden wants to tax that. I'm like, are you crazy? Dude?
Walk us through, for folks who might be joining us, they're new, perhaps 2020, 21. How does Bitcoin alleviate income tax?
Yeah. So again, it doesn't happen overnight, but eventually, the government's going to wise up and realize they can't control Bitcoin, which, Gary Gensler knows this. Like Bitcoin, like if you saw my tweet from a few weeks ago. I think it's February 27th. It's 413 exahashes a second, hit a new all-time high, which I said might happen. Surprise. That's a huge number of calculations Bitcoin's doing every second. We're talking, this is an insanely large number. It's every second, this super huge number. And it can't be stopped at this point. It's an unstoppable force. Any government thinks they can stop it. Any entity thinks they can hack it. Yeah, put down your crack pipe. You're a crack smoker. You don't know anything about technology. You haven't studied the space. Bitcoin is a super force field of energy, and it protects the hive. It just
so how does it though eliminate the need for income
tax?
Like we're talking
so
about,
eventually yes, okay, so let's use El Salvador as the perfect example. They literally use geothermal mining to mine their Bitcoin, right? So every day they have a new more satoshis coming into their wallets, into their coffers, whatever you want to call it, and that's a new revenue stream that's always going to be there forever, as long as that volcano doesn't blow up in their base, right? They're going to have those ASICs going 24/7 ad infinitum, and you always have that revenue stream coming into your government that you don't have to tax the individual.
And this kind of goes back to what folks like Max Kaiser have said for a long time, and that leads us to hyper Bitcoinization and the hash wars, etc.
And we're starting to see the buildup of that right now.
For example, where do you see, obviously El Salvador probably the biggest, but aside from El Salvador, where would be the next place of concentration of development in the Bitcoin network as far as payments, government, and regulation?
Well, as far as developments, obviously Texas. I mean, Texas is like, I don't know how, I think I just saw another friend of mine like, here's my new Bitcoin mining farm. I'm like, that's not Atlanta. I'm like, that looks like Texas, bro. So I'm surprised another Bitcoin mine opening up in Texas. So don't be surprised if the hash rate goes up some more. Yeah, there's more mines opening up every day because as you predicted, I think it was you. I don't know if it was you and Jason, Jason Dean. Said that, once the oil companies realize that this flare that's been wasted for years and years and years can be utilized to run Bitcoin mines, they're going to make money off that. And that's going to affect, infrastructure for Bitcoin's development. But hyper Bitcoinization, it's coming. Like Saudi Aramco is literally months from away from saying we'll take corn for oil. And on that day,
you heard it right here. The Oracle is making another bold prediction.
Oh, it's coming. I can't say what day.
You think end of the year?
I would say in the next couple of years. Let's say
next couple of years.
Yeah.
We've seen them already open to other
they're
currencies.
Definitely been they've been talking about it. They've hinted at it.
Right.
When's it going to happen? I can't say. But on that day, Bitcoin's gonna be jumping up and down, and it will be mega volatile when that happens, because there will be countries like El Salvador that always have a reserve of Bitcoin, and there'll be countries that are dumb like China and the United States will always possibly convert it back to their shitty paper money.
We're talking about Bitcoin mining. That gets me into something else I wanted to get your thoughts on, especially with government regulation and things that are kind of floating around in the ether. And I mean that not in the crypto sense, but let's talk about self-custody. And when it comes to self-custody of wallets, is there the potential, which I think there probably is, and how likely do you think it will be that they could actually outlaw and make it illegal for folks like you and I to self-custody our Bitcoin, where maybe it's almost like what they did with gold. Like, hey, if you own gold, you have to come in and give it to the government. If you own Bitcoin, you have to register your private wallet like a gun or a firearm.
Well, good news is Wyoming just passed a law just last week saying that can never happen. They're never going to let that happen in Wyoming. So if that ever does happen, I'm only a couple states over. I'm moving to Wyoming. Not kidding. I will.
Senator Lummis, we're coming.
It's to me, it's like and I've said this before to you. It's like saying you're going to ban purses, or you're going to ban your outlaw wallets, like physical cash wallets. Like, it makes no sense. It's the stupidest insanity ever, because you should always be able to be in possession of your own funds, whether it's petty cash or not.
Some senators up there on Capitol Hill want to make this a reality. From what all the things I've been hearing. Scary.
And the banks are so good at handling our money. I don't know if you saw my tweet from last night where, again, Biden's threatening, tax, capital gains tax, raising the tax on Bitcoin mining. And I'm like, you do realize there's like $2 to $4 trillion worth of money laundering and fraud that are in your markets, the traditional markets, and there's less than 2% of crime in the crypto markets. Do you realize the massive, huge difference that is? It's like our markets were about that size. That's the amount of fraud that happens in your market on a yearly basis. Please.
Right. Were you surprised at all with any of the fallout from Silvergate?
I mean, I was surprised it went down. Another, big entity to go down. I don't know if their stock is even trading anymore. But yeah, I was surprised. I was actually taken aback just because I thought they were making all the right moves. All the paperwork's been being filed by Binance US for their Voyager purchase, and then he sees that it's going through, and then he's going to put up a big stink about it. But he had no problems when SBF and FTX wanted to buy it, right? Like, no, not a peep out of his mouth, right? So again, you're showing your cards here, Gary. Clearly, you had interest in FTX and SBF succeeding or failing. Either way, it suited your needs, in my opinion. But other regulation or other things that happened in the last week when it comes to regulation and rulings, Binance won that case. They said the SEC, is out of line. That's a huge win for the crypto space. Nobody's talking about this. And of course, now the deal is going through, and I'm very happy because I did have some assets on Celsius, FTX, and all of these things because somebody's a crypto tester, tested a lot of these platforms out. Luckily, a lot of these platforms I had removed most of my fund, BlockFi and a couple others. But Celsius was the one I thought, well, these guys are doing it right. And like I said, when they left BitGo, that's when I was like, that's when there should have been the red flag that told me I should have gone. But oh well, yeah, self-custody is the way to go. Get your own ledger, get a ballet, get something.
Yeah, let's talk about wallets really quick, because that was something I wanted to put out there. When it comes to hardware wallets, wallet of choice, do you have, because you beta test a lot of these things and you actually try to break them and find errors in them. So what are some of for your research that you've done, what would you say are the best, like, 4 wallets, hardware wallets out there?
Obviously I like Ballet. I have a couple. They're nice. They're easy. I tell people, if you have somebody that doesn't get technology at all, they're like the easiest cold storage to use. Like, they're like grandma proof almost. If they know how to scan a QR code, right, which most people do these days because of pandemic, everyone's had to scan one for a menu or something by now. That's how easy it is to use. You scan the QR code, it downloads the app on your phone, and boom, you don't have to plug it in, right? That's the beauty of it. Don't have to connect it to a computer, anything like that. Ledger, obviously, I've used Ledger for many years. Ledger Live. I like. I've tried out I guess it's the Jade wallet.
Yeah, the one from Blockstream.
It's pretty cool. I do dig that. Because it's like the unit itself, if you charge it up, it can, like, it's interesting. It's interesting technology, and it's not. If you're a Bitcoiner, it makes sense. It's pretty easy.
Well, it comes from our friends Samson Mao and Adam Back.
Yeah, it's the cool product.
Got some OGs behind it.
It's good stuff. And then obviously Trezor. I don't have a Trezor. I'm a Ledger person, but Trezor makes good stuff as well. And then obviously, if I always tell people, if that's above your technical expertise, there's a lot of people don't realize, there's still people out there who don't even have email, right? Try Cash App, try Lally, even Coinbase. You get $100 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase, then move it on Ledger or your Ballet or whatever cold storage wallet you like or you prefer.
In the remaining time that we have left, I love your insight. I love your analysis. And I love that you have the ability to peer into the crypto crystal ball as the Oracle, the OG Oracle. You've been actually very spot on. In all
Oh yeah,
seriousness, with your calls and just your analysis, whatever your study of the
analysis.
markets, right? Yeah, I don't know, plural analysis. Give me some of the big things that you're kind of seeing in your crypto crystal ball as we move through the spring, summer 2023.
Well, obviously, we were just talking if the Mt. Gox coins are being released right now and Bitcoin's only dropping by like a couple, like a G or so, that's good news. I would say that's a good sign for
How much of the
Bitcoin.
drop though is related to Silvergate?
I don't know. I don't think much.
Okay.
Again, I don't know to be honest with you, I don't know what their Bitcoin holdings were, but if it was FTX, shouldn't be like too much, shouldn't be a problem. Because
Yeah.
if you're not holding corn, to me, you're not a liability, right? If you had Bitcoin on your books and your books are frozen, that's kind of good in a way, right? Because no one can touch those assets for X amount of time. But now supposedly those these new Bitcoin or old Bitcoin are back on the market. But I would venture to say somebody like you said who can look a little into the future, that the majority of those people were hodlers back then, and they're hodled through all this Mt. Gox BS, and they will hodl through to the next bull run. So I don't think we're going to see too much dropping from the Mt. Gox release. And like I said, I think we're seeing a double bottom. If I look at my crystal ball, I do see a Bitcoin casino going down. I can't tell you which one exactly, but it wouldn't surprise me with all of the negative equity that's been in the markets over the last 6 months or so. And that would key to me that we're going to see some big moves potentially in Bitcoin. I'm looking at the hash rate chart on a daily basis. Like it came down last night to 282 exahashes, which is the lowest it's been maybe in like a quarter or so. But at the same time, that's still can handle the load. We did see the meme pools piling up,
Yeah, okay.
and that to me it actually can be a good thing, right? I've said this many times. When the meme pools pull up, that means the block times are going to take a little bit longer, and you can see price go up from that. We have seen some downward pressure, obviously, from the news over the last couple of days and the couple of SEC statements and the court cases. But if you were listening on that SEC case with Grayscale, the judge, I don't know if you heard that one.
The judge was very well informed.
Yeah, very well informed, leaning on Grayscale side, like why isn't this a spot ETF? So if we get the future, I see is if they win their case, we get a spot ETF, and holy moly, if we get a Bitcoin spot ETF and the FCC can't stop it, that means they have to approve the next one because they will literally look bad.
Are there any pending right now? I don't think that there are any spot ETFs pending. Like
I don't think there.
In years past.
I don't think there is because of the ongoing litigation with Grayscale right at the moment. But I see if that case goes through as a win, right? That Binance case was a huge precedent. There was a huge case from a few weeks ago where Library won their case where second-hand token sales were not considered securities. So that was a big win. And now we have this Binance.
And that would probably bode well for Ripple then, I would imagine, too.
Exactly. And that's what I was just going to good segue into. So if all these cases line up, that sets major precedents across the boards for all these different types of assets. It's again, it shows that they have paved the way for legal precedents. We have justices and judges on our side that get this technology and realize that there's something not going on right. Gary is up to some kind of chicanery when you have the judge saying, this isn't right. Why isn't there a Bitcoin spot ETF? And most of the Bitcoiners in the world would agree. There's a few that don't want one, but there's not that many. It would just make the market a more open, free market in most of our opinions, I think.
Really quick, so folks who don't know how to find you and follow you, give us your socials and we can put that up on the screen. Anything where folks can find you on social and get more access to your seriously awesome information, because dude, you are a wealth, and I'm just glad to be your friend and get to like talk and learn from you. So
dude, I always love hanging with you because you always ask good questions and you're equally smart dude because you've been stacking sats for years and hodling, and that's how you do it. But yeah, definitely at GER313 is my main handle for almost like any platform that's out there. that would include Twitter, Telegram. I think on a Medium, it's GSV. It's my initials 313. And you can check out some really good articles. I have my article up there about I know who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
That one is awesome.
Which I think is probably the closest anyone's come to figuring out who Satoshi is. And they've only had 1 or 2 people out of the 17 or 16,000 people that read that article that have said I was wrong. That's it. That's a small percentage.
He's rarely wrong and often right. Our good friend, the crypto oracle, Gerald Votta. I appreciate you making time to jump on and go be on the block with us today, friend.
Dude, I had a blast. It's always fun talking with you, brother, because you know me, I'll talk about crypto all day long. I love
all
it.
Day long, baby. All day long. Give it up for my man, the crypto oracle, Gerald Votta, right there from Quantum Economics, the entire team. And the newsletter is always free, quantumeconomics.io. Let's close out live stream Sunday with the What the video of the week. And thank you for joining me here live stream Sunday Beyond the Block. And always remember, be smart, be safe, stack sats and hodl, self-custody that Bitcoin.
And just one parting thought, the best financial advice I can give you is whatever you do, do not listen to Matty Sats.